So first, what is culture? Culture can be defined as the shared attitudes, the values, the goals, the practices, and the traits that characterize a group or a society. Culture encompasses the art, the beliefs, the customs that are learned and transmitted through socialization. Body language is a form of nonverbal communication that is used in different cultures. So, a body language could be a facial expression, it could be your posture, it could be a touch, it could be an eye contact. Okay, so the same body language could mean something different based on which culture that you are dealing with. When it comes to facial expression, in North America, for example, if you smile at someone, it conveys that you're happy, that you're joyful, that you're content. Okay, it says that you're friendly. In a place like the Middle East, for example, it's more common with family members, but not as common with strangers. When it comes to nodding, in a place like Africa, for example, if you nod at someone, it means that you agree and that you're showing understanding. Depending on which part of the world that you're in, hand gestures could mean different things to different people. So a cross finger in Europe, it could mean that means that it's a sign of good luck, of good fortune. In North America, for example, when you do a peace sign, it means peace or victory. Okay, an open arm could mean somebody is welcoming you, they're sharing, or they're giving. When it comes to greeting, in North America, in Africa, mostly you'll see handshake and hugging, as a form of greeting. In Asia, you'll see there's a lot of bowing and hand press together like this as a form of greeting. Okay. In the Middle East, arm linking is a lot more common. When it comes to addressing someone is different depending on where you are. In Chinese culture, for example, you're addressed by your last name first and then your first name last. In America, you write the first name, then the last name. In the French culture, en France, for example, par exemple, you'll have the last name first, then the first name. Now, the way that you're greeted in France is a little different than it is in North America. On fait la bise. You have the French kiss, so it's on the cheek, on both cheeks. That's how French people do greet each other, especially amongst family and friend. If they're meeting you for the first time, they will use vous, which means you in English. Okay, so as a form of respect, and as they get to know you better, then they'll start to use tu, which also means you. So I think it would be appropriate to give you a little bit of a background about me. I was born and raised in Guadeloupe. Guadeloupe is a French overseas region in southern Caribbean. The main language is French. So the same way that Puerto Rico is governed by the US, Guadeloupe is governed by France, just so you understand. Okay, so I grew up speaking French and English. The English that I spoke growing up is Caribbean English. So it's a combination of Creole, French, and Patois. So we call it broken English, so to speak. So when I moved to the US as a teenager, I faced a lot of challenges with American English because a lot of the words that are used in the US, we did not use growing up. For example, so words like kind, like if you say she is kind, okay, that's not a word or a term that I use every day growing up in Guadeloupe because that's not what we spoke there. If I use back in Guadeloupe, if we say something like she is nice, we meant she is beautiful. So that's what I mean earlier when I said depending on where you go in the world, certain words mean different things to different people based on the culture. So in the US, I faced a lot of challenges with language. Language was a big struggle for me when I went to college. I felt like I was learning the English language in addition to learning the lesson. When I studied, I always had a dictionary with me because I wanted to know what a word meant. If I was reading a textbook and I came across a word that I did not know, I had to look it up so I can understand what the word meant, and then I could make sense of the sentence itself. So if you can imagine, it was doing double work and double learning. That's what my process consisted of, because everything was just new and overwhelming and frustrating is what I experienced. A lot of English words are very similar to French. You have words like communication, communication, television, télévision, identical, identique, pronunciation, prononciation. So if I came across a word like that, like right away, I would know what it meant. But if it wasn't something that I used at all, then, it was really a struggle to make sense of it. Also, during test time, multiple choice tests in the US was something that I hated. Okay. Because all the answers looked really the same. Growing up in the French system, I was used to doing an essay format testing. So we would learn the lesson, and then we would have one question. Let's say, write what you know about this time period. And then I was free to write whatever I remembered, whatever I knew about it. And I felt like I had more, I guess, leeway or freedom to write what I knew about it. And when it came to multiple choice tests, I felt stuck. If you had three answers, usually there's four answers. So if you had something that said should, could, would, to me they all looked the same. To me they all meant the same. And I didn't understand the tense in English. So I had to learn that to see which tense we were talking about. Is it present, past, future? That's another thing that threw me off. So I was just really lost and had to learn everything all over again. Another struggle for me with American language was the TH pronunciation. Even to this day, I still struggle with pronouncing words that has a TH, like thank you and think. The TH sound does not exist in French. Whenever you have a TH word in French, like athlétique, it's pronounced as a regular T sound. So there's no TH, that sound that does not exist. So I had to practice that a lot to say it, because it's not something that I was used to. I also notice when people pronounce words in the American language, some words are stressed more than others. There's a certain flow, there's a certain cadence. Let's say if we're pronouncing the word party, there's a R. Okay, that's stress more than the second syllable. Now, although this experience was very challenging for me, it was through that experience that I discovered my passion for teaching language, for teaching about communication, and teaching all the other subjects that I plan to teach here on this channel. Sur ce, on se dit à la prochaine. On that note, we'll see you soon.